Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. We have a rule on the program: the more Bradleys, the better. And with that in mind, we have got a special guest for our Impact interview. He's the Pittsburgh Steelers team doctor for the last 30-plus years, Dr. Jim Bradley, and a captain on the Nittany Lions football team. So just great perspective from Dr. Bradley. Thanks for joining us. And after college, you headed off to med school and a career in medicine. Your path took you into orthopedics. That decision has led to a life of great impact in the sports world. How has your career impacted the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFL beyond that?
Yeah, so this is coming up on 34 years with the Steelers, almost 700 games on the sidelines. There's 25 years I was on the injury and safety panel for the NFL. 15 years I was the chair of the research for the NFL, which allowed research, and it was a very good job. I was lucky enough to be the president of three major societies: the NFL Physician Society, the American Orthopedic Society of Sports Medicine, and the president of Eruditus, which is an exclusive group of sports medicine surgeons from around the world. Primarily, I think the focus on our research is what's helped the most with the research in the NFL and really of all our athletes. So we've kind of changed the paradigm because we have a lot of numbers on how we treat injuries, especially slap tears and throwers, hamstring avulsions off the pelvis in football players and really all athletes. We have a big focus on the throwing shoulder, primarily the posterior labrum of the shoulder. So I think our research is really what's got us, and helped a lot of people.
Well, Jim, you were the first of three brothers to play at Penn State. You came to Penn State early on, before the Penn State program had been established as really kind of the national program we came to know. So how much did being part of a family atmosphere mean to you and to your two brothers that followed you to Penn State?
Well, I wasn't going to go to Penn State. I had a scholarship to play point guard for Virginia, but we went up for a visit, and it was your mom and dad. They took my parents and took me into your house and showed them what the family looked like. And, on the way back, there was no doubt where I was going to school. My dad told me to go to school. You're going to Penn State because, your dad said, look, this guy's got a scholarship for 4 years. He gets hurt. He still's got a scholarship. He goes to study hall. And as soon as my dad heard study hall, that's what happened.
There remains a lot of talk about player safety with some rules changes in the college game that some fans may not like. Can you tell our viewers and fans, and perhaps even parents of young players, how these rules have helped make the game safer?
Yeah, the primary rule, first of all, let's go back. There's an injury and safety panel. At the end of every year, we look at the injuries across the NFL. What's your high? What's your low? Do we have to do something about this? Do we have to do something about that? I did it for over 25 years. And the concussion thing is a really big issue. And the league is really, we have a very strict protocols for concussions now. We wear those Guardian caps. They're going to ban that. They changed the kickoff. They're going to ban the hip drop tackles. And this injury surveillance is very important because every year we get our numbers and we're graded against every team in the NFL. And it's a trickle down effect. What we do happens and then it goes to the colleges and it's going to go to the high schools and down. So the parents I would say to the parents that football has never been safer.
As part of your time with the Steelers, you formed a unique relationship with Dan Rooney, even talking about some of the superstitions with that. What was life like being around one of the true giants of the game?
Yeah, he, first of all, if I'm half the man that he is, I'm a success. I had dinner with him for 26 years on the road all the time, and he complained that if I didn't show up for dinner that I was forming a doctors union in the NFL. But this is all you need to know about Dan Rooney. When he interviewed me the first time, which I didn't think was for the job, he just was interviewing me. We talked for 55 minutes. We talked about current events. We talked about religion. We talked about the press. We talked about the media. I said, media, you've got PR people. They do that. And then he said to me, Jim, do you want to take care of my team? And I mean, of course, my mouth drops. And I said, well, do I have to sign anything? He says, no, you shake my hand. I shook his hand. I walked out of the room. And my trainer said to me, are you my new blanking orthopedic surgeon? And I said, I don't know. He shook my hand. And the trainer said, we called him the plumber. He said, listen, he shook my hand 27 years ago. And then once I did take the job, he came up to me and he said, Doc, he wouldn't let me call him Mr. Rooney either. It was always Dan. He said, Doc, if anybody ever interferes with you taking care of my players, I want to know his name. And then I knew he had my back, and he was just a great man. And He did so many things behind the scenes for everybody. It was unbelievable. And I got to watch it at these dinners.
I know for me, growing up in Johnstown, what it was like, and kind of want to know what it was like for you. That it's a foundation that's remained with me forever, and I'd like to know, what it meant to you.
Well, listen, Johnstown. I can sum it up this way: one of the best ways. In Johnstown, if I shake your hand and say, "You need anything? I'm going to do something for you," I mean, I'm going to help you. But there are other places in the country, they shake your hand and they're looking at you and going, "What can you do for me?" Not in Johnstown. This is a working class town. We had 2 steel mills. We had, coal mines. It was basically a town with a great work ethic that loves sports. My father and mother instilled in Tom and I this work ethic. So, I can't not work. It's impossible. And it was all about growing up. And my father was tough on us, but he was fair. And my mother loved us to death.
Well, you're obviously the Steelers doc, but you formed a relationship and a practice with the hockey doc in town. So talk about Burke and Bradley Orthopedics and where it started, how it started, and where it's growing from here.
Yeah, in 2000, the university came to Dr. Chip Burke and I, and Chip took care of the Penguins 27 years, and I was taking care of the Steelers, and they wanted to form a separate kind of I don't want to say elite, but a concentrated group for professional athletes here. And what we've done is it's grown to where we have, 7 and it's going to be 9 different subspecialty physicians. They subspecialize in hips, arthroscopic hips. We've got primary care guys that do tremendous ultrasound. We've got physical therapists that are primarily for us. And we have an MRI doctor that is probably world class. So when you come here, you expect that, first of all, that we're usually on time. We're going to treat you with respect. It's a fun place to work. The girls are cackling all the time. Hell, they'll know your dog. They'll know your kids' names. But you can make it a sitcom almost. But it's a really family-oriented group. And the people who come here are very satisfied with their care.
Well, we promised Tom we wouldn't ask his older brother too many stories about him growing up. What a wealth of knowledge. Could have talked with Dr. Bradley for hours. You can see the entire conversation on our website, NittanyGameWeek.com.